All right, Money Time Tax Service Partners, we appreciate you guys, and we wanted to create a video to walk you through start to finish how to do a tax return all the way up to the point of e-file. It's almost tax season time, so we are getting very close to where the e-file component will be enabled, but we just wanted to run you through a basic tax return, doing all the data entry, jumping into EIC at the end of the return, a W-2, Schedule C, Schedule A, really how to navigate through the program start to finish. So I'm using the demo login that some of you have. Everybody should have their login at this point in time. So I'm just going to go ahead and log in. We're going to start a return from scratch by clicking Start New Tax Return. And we're going to try to make this as efficient a process as possible. So we're not going to take too long and do too much explanation as we're going through, although I will narrate. But we're going to be knocking this out in pretty short order. So I'm going to put the social in twice, which is going to establish the account. I'm going to click Continue. From here, this is just a quick warning letting you know that, hey, we're starting, you're basically putting data in pre-tax season. So we'll go past that. It's telling me that this client didn't exist in a previous year. I'm going to continue past that. And we're on to select your filing status. As we pointed out in earlier videos, the program basically works just like you're accustomed to reading. Works from left to right. So we started our basic information. It drops us down to filing status, personal information to dependents. Next, it'll bump us over to the federal section. Once we've completed that, we will then go to the state section and just move right on through the return. So picking our filing status, we're going to say we're head of household. If you don't know what you're doing, go ahead and use the filing status wizard, but we're going to go head of household here. And we're going to put in all of our personal information. So we're going to say that this is Brandon Doe. Birth date is 10/10/1975. Occupation, sales. We're going to jump right on down to our address. And we're going to put in our zip code. And we're doing a Florida return here. Something like that. You will see these health questions. It's for tracking for the Affordable Care Act, the new mandatory law that everybody gets health insurance. If you're not already covered, you should be. So let's just say that this person doesn't have coverage. Go ahead and click Continue. Dependents, do we have any? Here's an explanation if you don't know what a dependent is. Good explanation right here. We click Yes. We've got a dependent. And this will be dependent Doe 05. Oops. Click on the drop down. 2010. And this was a son. Lived with us for 12 months. You've got the additional options down here. We're just going to click Continue. And we're done with this dependent. So we click Continue. From here, it bumps us over to our federal section. If you aren't sure how to fill this out, you don't want to miss anything. Each section, income, deductions, other taxes, and the rest of it comes with either a Guide Me option or an Enter Myself. If you know what you're doing, just go ahead and pop in to Enter Yourself. Or if they give you a stack of forms, 1099s, and everything else, just go ahead and jump up here to the Enter Form Number. You can just pop in W-2. It'll pull up your W-2 and you can click right there. If you don't know quite, you're not that quite sure, you just go ahead and click Enter Myself. And it gives you basically line 7 through line 21 of the 1040, everything that's related to income. You have your wages and salaries, which is your line 7 of the 1040, most commonly associated with the W-2. So here I'm going to put in, there is an EIN database that you can see populates with all of the information there. We're going to say that we made 18.5 and we had 27.50 in withholdings. And then if you had your state information, state wages and state withholdings, you would go ahead and put those down here. If you had any deferrals or anything, basically just copy the W-2, whatever's on there, all the boxes, make sure that they're filled in. At the bottom, you click continue. It's immediately going to calculate and start projecting your federal refund. It's going to also include EIC. Even though we haven't done the EIC worksheet, it's going to assume at this point, until we disqualify this individual by either having too much income or whatever, it's going to assume that the EIC is in there. So we click continue. It takes me back to all of my income. Now, if you had a Schedule C, that is the profit and loss from a business, you're just going to go ahead and click right in there. Again, if you wanted to navigate to the Schedule C, you can just type in schedule, and it pops up all your schedules. Click Schedule C, and it jumps me right into filling this thing out. I'm going to say that we were a painting company, and if you leave the EIN blank, like it says right below there, it assumes your social. If you leave the address information blank, it assumes the home address. And then you've got the business code or description. A lot of people will click into this business code section and search for the closest thing. I wouldn't spend too much time in here trying to find an exact match, because it's, things are kind of cryptic. Although painting is right there. So that you just click on it, it pulls the business code right in there. It actually changed my description here as well. So go ahead and click continue, and it takes you to the Schedule C. The questions about operation of your business, 99% of the time you're not going to need to click into those, but under income you're going to need to go there. Where did we make our money? We had 15 whatever. We had $3,500 in earnings. If you had some other income, $1,200, we can put that there. Click continue. And if you had mileage and expenses, so basically this top one's income. This is your cost of goods sold if you are actually selling a product and you had an existing inventory at the beginning of the year. General expenses, this is everything except for depreciation and business miles. So we had some advertising, we had some business insurance on our painting equipment, our company truck, whatever. And then we had some supplies, and we click continue. Obviously, you're going to want to get documentation to substantiate all their expenses. Then we had a car and truck. Obviously, we're a painter. We're driving to jobs. So we're going to put in truck, F-150, Ford. However much description you want to put in there, you can. And we bought the vehicle mid-year, so we're just going to put it in there. We drove it 7,100 miles for business. We had 1,500 commuting and whatever. So you're going to want to check these. And my phone's ringing, I apologize. So once we've entered in all of the mileage information, we just go ahead and click continue. And again, it's recalculating our refund over here on the right hand side. And if you had any depreciation, other expenses that weren't accounted for in the general expense, you go into other expenses. And you're just going to type in the description. I don't know. And click continue. From here, if you're done with your Schedule C, you can just select another section. If you don't need to go back to this, you're done. You knew you were done after that. You just go ahead and click on deductions. So how do we want to handle our deductions? Do we want to use the Guide Me, which is going to take you step by step, making sure you're not missing anything? Or do we want to enter myself? I'm not going to miss anything, so enter myself. The big one is your itemized deductions, basically your Schedule A. And you have medical and dental expenses. That one's a big one. Gifts to charity is a big one, and then you've got miscellaneous deductions. Unreimbursed employee expenses, it's a basic calculation of a percentage. You have to have unreimbursed expenses over a percentage of your income. I think it's over 2 or 4% of your income. So you've got to have some serious expenses for that to really kick in and impact the refund. If you have a lot of people that have unreimbursed employee business expenses, you need to tell them to really, unless it's they're a 1099 employee and they got a lot of them, to get reimbursed from their employer. That's the best way to do it. But anyway, gifts to charity. Let's talk about that for a second. You just click right into it. What type of gift was it? Let's say it was a cash gift to whatever, their church. Just type in the church, put in the description, tithe, or however you want to do it. And we'll say it was $750. Again, you only get a percentage of this to count towards everything, but it helps a little. And we'll go ahead and continue from here. Go back to our Schedule A. What else do we have? These are gifts to charity. What else? Do we donate, a bunch of stuff to Salvation Army? In that case, it's non-cash donations, non-cash gifts to charity. This is if you have over $500 in non-cash donations. It's going to have you put in a description for each one and a date and all that good stuff. So if we continue, it takes us back to our Schedule A, or our itemized deductions. And then you've got medical and dental expenses. You're going to want to get receipts for all this stuff to substantiate it. And then you've got the subsections for people using 1099, Social Security, all this stuff. Pretty straightforward. And again, you have to have a good handful of premiums because it has to exceed a percentage of your AGI for it to kick in as well. So you have to you have to have some pretty substantial expenses. I'm going to cancel out of here, and we're going to go into our miscellaneous forms. Miscellaneous forms is kind of your catch-all, I don't know, things that you're not very commonly used. And you've got, which one am I looking for? I'm sorry, that's not what I wanted. Under income, you have other income, which is your catch-all for anything non-standard. This is what I want to talk about. Under other compensation, if you had somebody that was working for cash and they were considered a household employee, which there are a specific subset of rules around that, you go ahead and go into household employee. If you've made over $600, you're supposed to get basically the person's social, their name, and the amount that they paid you. And this is something that you should talk to Brandon about, how to use that appropriately. It can be useful. From here, when you're done with the return, let's say for sake of argument, we're done with this return. And we don't have a state. If you did have a state, you just go to your state. You click, yeah, I got a state. You pick your state, and it's going to handhold you through the process of doing the state return. But we're done here, so I'm just going to go over to eFile. And it should jump me either into my miscellaneous statement or my 8863 at this point for my EIC checklist, which that's what it is. Filling this out appropriately. It's basically no, and everything else. The top part is yes. We could go and spend some time on each of these, but basically this first one's asking, did you live outside the country, or are you a non-resident alien? The second one's, are you a dependent of somebody else that should be claiming you on their tax return? And the rest of it's pretty straightforward. Did you keep the records? Yeah. And then who provided them to you? Who were you asking the questions to, and who was providing you the answers? Now, EIC is one of those things that is a hot audit item. It's one of those things that you're going to want to take contemporaneous notes and keep them in the client file, whether you're taking the notes here in this section, EIC, and you're asking all types of honestly intrusive questions where you've got to kind of be a private investigator, but it's annoying but necessary. The IRS has not published a standardized set of questions that you should be asking, but err on the side of caution and ask a whole bunch of annoying stuff. Like, where's the other parent? Why are you claiming this dependent if they're close in age? Meaning, there's less than 16 years between the claiming person and the dependent. Asking that odd question. There's a whole bunch of stuff you should ask. So then, Schedule C, what documents do they bring in to substantiate their business activity? There you go. Does anybody else have rights to claim this child? No, that's my kid. I'm claiming him. What documents did they bring in to substantiate the relationship? If they didn't bring anything in, ask them, if you're asked, can you prove this? What can you furnish? Didn't see the documents, but taxpayer said that they could bring in this, that, and this, that, and the other. All right. Go ahead and click continue. It's going to jump us to our miscellaneous statement. Nah, we won't put anything there. And we go to our pass-through page. This is basically our bank product e-file page. The top one, federal return type. This is asking you about the disbursement option. How do they want their money back? Well, they want me to take their money, my prep fees, out of their check. So you go ahead and click the bank product and click next. What is the preparation fee? We're going to put in $575. And we have a $35 electronic filing fee. If you did create a fee schedule or you have a fee schedule present, those would automatically pop. Click next. Yeah, we did the $72.16. This section is if you want the taxpayer to automatically receive a text message when their check has been printed. So, like it says, would you like them to receive a text? If yes, click yes, put in their cell phone information, and it'll send them a text. Next is the bank app. What do we need from them? We need some identifying document, like a driver's license. Going to want to make a copy of whatever they provide you. And we'll say that it was issued in 2010 and it expires in 2017 from, click next and click save. Here it's going to take us to our print option. What do you want to print? The first option here, one copy of Fed and State, is going to print everything. All of the signature documents required, both for the bank and for the tax return. I mean, this is a one-stop shop as far as your printing options. Okay. When you are completed with the return, you're ready to send it, you're going to mark this return complete. And then it's ready to send. At this point, we only have the save and exit option because we don't have the e-file button. You're going to have three options: back, save and exit, and save and send, or save an e-file. And at that point, you will be done with this tax return. It will be on its way to the IRS and you will be getting paid. So I'm going to save and exit, and we're done with the return. At this point, what you would do is just go back to your office and start the next client. Your client list is going to be populated with everybody in your database, the guy that I just did right there, and it will tell you the status of the return right here in this column. In progress in this case, completed if we were able to actually complete the return, rejected if it came back, acknowledged if it's done, and we'll be on our way to money time. Thank you guys. If you have any questions, we'll talk to you soon.